Alrighty, so what we have here is the 2D data, is the data from the Heroic Ghuun kill. As you can see, the Warlocks have done very well. Myself on top, pulling about 15k DPS. The pass score is 70%, which means of the 100% of the players who've killed this boss, my damage and DPS is in the top 70%. But for my eye level, I've pulled 80%. On the right-hand column, you see eye level percentage. Then you have the other Warlock 55 and 65, and then you can see where, you know, it's a rough indication, but all of us, this really is the first. This is the first kill. I had pugged this over 100 times, and I'll explain that more in the video afterwards. But as you can see, single target DPS, it's the Warlocks. Then, because there's a lot of movement and dancing around, the Hunters, Beastmasters, instant casting abilities it makes it easier for them. And then we have a combination of some range and some melee, and then our tanks followed by the heals coming through. 7-minute fight, and we're going to go into more details as we progress. So Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a couple of weeks. I've been focusing on getting the last couple of bosses down in the Heroic Uldir to get the head of the curve. Armory hasn't updated for whatever reason for Mithrax, and then Ghuun. We got Ghuun down a couple of days ago. I've been pugging a lot, and God, I think I've spent I spent 120k in gold on mats and stuff for elixirs and potions and just repairs. Oh God, just pugging a lot for pain. But look, the guild got down PvE since vanilla, and I jumped to these guys a few weeks ago, and towards the end of October, and we've already knocked down the first boss in Mythic. But anyway, this is the Heroic kill for the Ghuun. Let me just make sure that's in. So what we're going to do, this is the 2D replay we're going to play. So off we go. We got you can see the team here on the right hand side in the bottom corner, and you can see damage done to Ghuun. So on the left hand side you can see one of our tanks is going through, and that's one of our other Warlocks. He's now dotting up all the side, and then we've got one of our solo runners doing the same thing. I think he's a monk, and they're putting the orbs in, and this is to, the reality is, you know, we're killing all the eyes, floating eyes, and you've got the dark young, so just dotting up things and you know, delivering damage as you do. And you can see now this is the damage now being done to Ghuun. I'm unsure who's causing that damage, but or why they're targeting so early, but I think it's probably just misfires. The goal here at the first phase is not so much DPS, it's all about the orbs. You get the orbs in, the orbs then drop the yellow beam down, and then from there we then we'll wait to save most of our cooldowns, then blast Ghuun once he comes out. So we're getting to that stage. You can see another group coming through, one of the heals coming out, and Ghuun must be getting close. So Ghuun at the moment is focusing on one of our tanks, so there he is up here, and he must be very close to coming out of his shell here. So let's yep, here we go. So now people are starting to focus on the mooring mouth if you've done a Ghuun run. So this is the, you know, like a 2D run. And now we're just focusing on that. So Rosho, one of the other Warlocks, he's plumbing away, and I'm unstoppable, so I begin to start dotting him up. And this is basically where we start doing the damage and doing the fight. So the goal here is to, obviously the runners are on the left hand side and the right hand side, and it's to get the next beam phase out, and we're trying to burn down his life. At the moment, we're all range 5, and you can see us moving around. Again, this is a feature on Warcraft logs that you can use for any of your fights. It's under replay, as you can see in the top right hand corner, or you can look me up, Unstoppable. Now, I've become now the #1 DPS on the boss, and the goal is to range 5, and ideally it's just a tunnel on the boss, not being within range 5, everyone's getting within the circle that needed to be, or the runners and the tanks and the heals. And you can see the 2 warlocks and the 2 hunters doing a bit, and the idea is to keep range 5. The biggest problem we got, I find, as a range, you can see that green, I'm in the middle of the screen there. The problem is you get that 3-second dot on you where you come out and you drop a 4 balls bounce off you, forget what it's called. A lot of the time the melee turn around and panic run back into the range. So staying in the middle, you got the benefit of getting heals. This is what I was finding. But our melee was turning around, not seeing that they had it. I don't know what they were doing, and they were 2 seconds, almost about to explode, and they've raced back into the range, and they're dropping it. So this is a painful thing. So it affected DPS a little bit, but you just had to constantly keep moving because of I don't know if they should have just ran through the boss on the other side and put up against the wall. Or gone far left or far right, because the majority of the players' range were in the middle and in the back, as you can see on the map. But so far you can see the 2 warlocks are way out front on single target DPS. I think the other warlocks just got me a bit on some secondary stats and eye level. Okay, so we're into the next phase. Trying to work out if that was actual. Oh, here's the collapse phase. You can see the little icon. Let's just stay out far. I'm just checking. Yeah, malignant growth, that's his tumours now. He's putting out his tumours everywhere. So you can see we're sort of all standing in the areas where we don't want to cop the explosion. So these are it's like the pizza tops, the pepperoni pizza tops, so you're moving. And at this stage I'm zooming away with the damage on the boss. By this stage I'd switched to a more higher mastery skill. I think I was around 80% mastery. I was when I was first pulling this, I was around 25% haste, 50 to 60% mastery, but I've changed all my enchants into mastery, so I've gone down to about 10 to 15% haste, and upwards of 80%, 80 to 82, 83% mastery on my, it's good for single target and dot damage, which is predominantly what this is. Because I've pugged this a lot, the biggest problem was I was running haste builds, because when all the ads were appearing, I'm dotting up everything and just racking up massive DPS, but because the orb runners were failing to do their job. And the reality is you're meant to get the orbs in and get that big golden charge down. So here we are, we're about down to 7%. Everyone's still dancing, you're keeping your 5 yards. We've only lost a couple of people. It's all getting tight. I think we lose 1 or 2 more. Yeah, lost another one. I was stacking 2 archives of the Titans and 1 demise, which gives me damage, massive damage, and drain on my life drain, which is keep me alive. So here we're down 2%, down to 1%, and God did we cheer. Wish I'd filmed the video, but it was too focused. Here we go. We've lost another one. Still trucking along, full health. I was in full control, and here we go. Game over, man. Game over. And there we go. Took out Heroic Ghuun with a strategy of focusing to get the orbs through, saving most of your major DPS cooldowns. I would blow mine at the start because it was an easy 2 minutes by the time you got around to the phase where you have Ghuun in the middle and you're getting with the gold blast, where you're doing more, you're doing more damage. You want to burst on him and get him down, and then by the time this part of the fight comes around, this is the first time I've killed him, but I've been into that phase of the pizzas probably about a dozen times. A lot of times it's just poor, I guess, dealing with people getting the 3-second dot on them, which explodes into those 4 white balls, and then dancing with the pizzas, because pizzas seem really confusing. But the reality is, you stand on the mobs that just spawn, and then you see and then you wait to move to a clear space, and as they start getting bigger and bigger, you move over to, say, a bit that's just started to happen, or obviously to a clear space is the first priority. But if not, you move over to, say, some of the new festering pus balls that are going off, and make sure you're fair enough away from the ones that pop, and then you move over to that clear section, and then boom, repeat. And like I said, all that takes is practice. And from what I've seen of Method and all that, those guys, they ran this back in the PTR or back in the beta or alpha stage or whatever. And the reality is, you've got to see the fights. You can't, like, I run a business, recruitment and training, everything like that. There's very rarely someone's going to come into something without an experience in it and pick something up like straight away. In upwards of 20 people or more, you might get 5 to 8 people that can do the rest. Are sort of 5 to 8, yeah, and then the next 4 or 5 or so, and then the rest are sort of all over the place. And it just takes repetitiveness to get this. So those big guilds that have been doing this, they live and breathe this stuff. They punch and punch and punch. But look, Ghuun, I don't think I got anything out of him. No, and we did Mythic Talok again today after this. And again, Lady Luck is not beset me. I'm about 371 eye level, 372 with if I try to push just simple eye level. But at the end of the day, it was an enjoyable fight. It's a great fight for a Warlock. It's a fight that you're doing wrong if you start racking up massive DPS on the hero level. I haven't done the mythic version in the center of the map at the start, because that means the ads have all been up too long, because there's a certain time frame that if everyone's doing the orbs properly, running right, then the beam comes out and destroys all the ads, and then you just focus on the mouth. Ghuun comes out, you position yourself, keep 5 yards, you keep your dots, keep working on it, get into the red circles. First, I believe the first set is for the healers and the runners and the tanks. The second version is for everyone, and then you come out and then you get the beam again, and that's when you all move in, and then you hit all your DPS kill put downs and go hell for leather on him, burn him down to, I think you do it once, and then get him, and the next stage you get him down to 20, and from there you go into that pizza popping stage. The biggest issues is the mechanics, is people not, as soon as you get that 3-second countdown for that grey bubble pops times 4 on you, you've got to get your ass out there. And if you look at where Ghuun is in the middle of the screen, you got several milli around there, and what was causing, it's a DPS loss for the range. Hunters, it didn't affect them, but for most of your hardcasters like Warlocks and Mages and stuff, well, mostly Warlocks, is that we had to move constantly because the milli were turning around, panic running into us, because they're trying to get shit out. Now, whether they should go to the left or right, I don't know if they should just charge through and go to the back of the map and do that, because they were coming through and causing, it killed me once out of about, it was 19 pulls it took us to kill Ghuun, and what we had to do is we had to keep trimming people, because unfortunately there was a few that DPS was only, was quite low, shockingly quite low, but I was too busy focused on staying alive, doing competitive DPS and trying to follow the mechanics. And I know, because I must have done 100 runs of this now, mostly pugging. If my DPS is well over 20k within that first few minutes or more, 20 to 25k, then those ads are all up to, because I dot everything. And if it starts racking up, then I know that's a problem, because they should only last a certain period of time. You get the orbs in and off you go. But anyway, that's an update from me. If I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window, and if smoke me a kipper, I'll be back for breakfast. Giddy up.